do that.
Hey.
I would like the anchors of the day to take over from here, please.
Yes, ma'am. So it's 1:10. Shall we start?
Yes, we'll just wait for Miss Maninder to get back to her place. She has gone to
Right, ma'am.
fetch her tea.
Sure, ma'am.
And children, it would be good if you can keep your cameras on. All the people who can keep the cameras on, it makes it very convenient and welcoming to the speakers. They feel like they're really a part of a group. Otherwise, it feels a bit detached. So if possible for you, keep your cameras on. The same goes for all the parents, teachers who are with us today. Yes, I can see Kanishka, I can see Usha ma'am, I can see Avni. Great to see you all. So my dear children, if we can see you, if you keep your cameras on, it would really be amazing. Yes, Sanskriti.
Ma'am, my camera isn't working, so I won't be able to switch it on.
No problem. I said all those who are able to. Namaste, Smita ma'am. Sachi.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste. So,
Namaste,
Shaila, I
ma'am.
think. Namaste, Sachi. Shaila, we are good to go now.
Right, ma'am. Sure. So, namaste, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege for having the opportunity of welcoming you all in our brand new initiative where RRIS goes global. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a phrase in Sanskrit which means the world is one family, a philosophy which is an integral part of Indian value system, and we at RRIS firmly believe in this. This is another humble step taken by us towards our journey of creating global citizens with deep rooted Indian values. So, friends, online learning has opened up several windows, giving us chances and enabling us to connect with educators, authors, speakers, and experts from different fields located in different parts of the country, different part of the world. Today, amongst us, we have two such experts who will take us through on a virtual journey to the Scandinavian and Nordic lands. I would now call upon Avni from grade 8 to introduce our guest speakers.
Thank you,
Avni,
ma'am.
over to you.
It's an honor to have the opportunity to introduce our esteemed guests, Mr. Mahib Agarwal and Ms. Maninder Kaur. Mr. Mahib Agarwal is a professor at Emporium Hospitality Training Institute of Kolkata, teaching travel and tourism. He has 15 years of experience in international tourism. He is representing Egyptian, Russian, and Scandinavian, Nordic incoming travel companies in India. Ms. Maninder Kaur is a bachelor of...
Avni, could you please be a little louder?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
You're audible,
Yes.
only the volume needs to be a little high.
Okay, ma'am. Ms. Maninder Kaur is a Bachelor of Leisure Management from Danish University. She's also a Master of Tourism Management from Danish University. She has been living in Scandinavia for 16 years and has been selling Scandinavia as travel destination for 10 years. She's now focusing on Norway as key destination. She is a co-owner of Nordic Wonders and a volunteer for education or intercultural communications. Sir, ma'am, thank you for connecting with us virtually. We're looking forward to hear from you. I would now request Mahib sir to address us.
Hello, hello students. It's been an honor to be a part of this presentation, and I am glad that Ram, I've got in touch with ma'am Jaya ma'am for setting up this session. Scandinavia, this online training and all this because of maybe a blessing in disguise for all of us because of this COVID. Now we are able to reach and we are able to expand our scope of reaching a different part of the world and to interact with the people sitting in different part of the world. I think we would have never done so if the things were not so complicated for us. But now it seems to be very easy to connect with people, and so in that terms, I think it's a great initiative by RRIS that they have been. And something similar kind of things were already going on in my mind since last 1 year, that I should, like, it's been like we are sitting at home. Tourism industry is one of the most affected industries because of COVID. So I was thinking that why don't I start sharing the knowledge what we have gained in last 15-20 years with the youngsters, with the people who are a future. So I think it's a great initiative, and I think online learning will, give us a lot of scope of learning new things, and reaching some places sitting at your home. So I won't take much of your time. I would give it to Miss Maninder to to start this session, and then I'll take up the doubts. We'll take up the doubts and questions. Please be upfront, and please don't hesitate. If you have any kind of questions, any kind of doubts coming to your mind, please throw it to us, and we'll try to answer all your questions, as good as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are now intrigued to know about the Scandinavian and Nordic lands. I would now request our Honorable Principal Ma'am to address us.
So namaste to everyone. What a great pleasure to have global guests amongst us today to take us on a journey across Norway, sitting here in the comfort of our homes. Welcome to Ms. Maninder. Welcome to Mr. Mahib. Mr. Mahib rightly said, this is a silver lining in the dark clouds that we see all around us. And let us make the most of it. Let's use technology to our advantage, which has brought people like them amongst us today. Children, I would like you to know from where did this idea of having a session on Norway came up. I was going through the lesson plans of Asha ma'am, and in 9th grade, I believe, they have a lesson on Norway in their Hindi subject, Hindi textbook. And that's when I started thinking how to make this learning more realistic and more experiential. And what's better than having the people from the same place who can talk from their personal experience about the life, about the culture, about the country in general to our children. And I reached out to parents and to my friends on Facebook and other media, and see how the world works in today's times. Really thanks to technology that I got connected to Mr. Mahip Agarwal through one of our parents, Prisha Saraugi's father, Mr. Anuj Saraugi. And this is why, it's said that the world is a global village. It is a small place now where one can go beyond oceans in, a jiffy. And through Mr. Mahip, we got to connect with Ms. Maninder, and she would be taking us through this journey. I'm extremely excited. Thank you for collaborating with us. We look forward to your support and guidance for making this initiative of RRIS going global a success by giving us ideas for how to get on with this journey from one country to another. Thank you very much. I would let Ms. Maninder take over after the formal call from our anchor. All the best, children. Get the most of this session. Keep your questions ready. You can keep typing, or towards the end, we'll ask for your thoughts and your questions. So this is our objective of developing global outlook in our children, and I hope you would make us all proud by becoming really good, responsible, compassionate global citizens. Thank you once again, Ms. Maninder and Mr. Mahip.
Pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. May I now request Maninder ma'am to take over the session.
Hello, everyone. How are you all? I would like to have some answers because I'm also a bit nervous because I haven't done with the Indian students directly before. So maybe I'm sometimes too informal or too, casual. So please get used to it. How are you?
Ma'am, we are great. Ma'am.
Fine, ma'am.
Fine,
We
ma'am.
are fine.
Fine.
Fine, ma'am.
Fine,
I
ma'am.
can see.
All good.
Very good. So are you excited to have a tour to Norway? A
Yes,
virtual
ma'am.
tour?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. So let's take it. I don't know if I can see the slides at the same time when we all can, but I think we plan to show you a video in the beginning about like a small appetizer for this country, this amazing country. So I don't know how this will work.
Uh, Jam, we can play the
Yes,
video.
yes, the video is about to start.
Okay, super.
Welcome to space, where a whole new universe is waiting for you. Endless landscapes, glistening waters, sky-piercing mountains, airy cities, and only 15 people per square kilometer makes Norway out of this world. With a coastline longer than Germany, Italy, Spain, Greece, and France combined, there's always something new beyond the horizon. Personal space isn't a privilege here, it's geography. Welcome to Space on Earth.
So, as they said, a space on Earth. And can you see on the world map where this space on Earth is? And you know the continent Europe. And in north of Europe, if you see this red marked country, that's Norway. This like the long what we say. Yeah, it's not. It's very small if we compare to the if we compare to India, but it's beautiful. I think looking at Norway, we will open some more horizons where we will see some exciting lifestyle, culture, food, what do they eat, and not only the natural beauty, that's of course there is, and we also have a lot in India as well. But also the the interesting part for us is the cultural way, like how do they live and what is life like there. And I think this is a great idea. This Vasudev Kutumbakam is, if I said it correct, it's a great idea because this will open our minds for different kinds of cultures, and we are mature enough if we have to deal in the future, if we have to deal with different nationalities, if we have to work in different parts of the world. So we already have some information about it and we are prepared about it. I think it's a great idea and I appreciate it. So now we will move ahead with Norway. Can we have the second slide, please? Yes, Norway is famous for its fjords. If we start from as the capital city, Oslo, Oslo Fjord is also a famous one because it's a gateway to the other nations where there is a lot of cruise traffic and boat traffic in this fjord. But if
Ma'am,
you
could
look,
you tell the students what are fjords?
yes, I'm sorry. Fjords are like where the water, the sea, and the mountains meet. That's how we usually define it in the normal language. Like you see the high mountains, and then in between there is water. We have a lot of views like this in India as well, but we have rivers between the mountains.
Right.
But yes, fjords is mostly like is a water,
So
deep
in,
water,
if
and
I
when you
may,
see very high peaks. Sorry.
if I
Yes.
may just interrupt in a simpler language for the students of India, it's fjords are in a normal language. It's valleys. Being sitting in Bombay, I can make you guys connect very easily with a place called Lonavala. So when you go to Lonavala, you can see a lot of valleys. But the only thing in India in valleys, you don't have a glacier melted waters or the Arctic waters. The waters from the oceans are not present in the valleys in India, right? So fjords are nothing but the valleys, but these valleys are filled up with the water which is from the Atlantic Ocean. So the Atlantic Ocean water which enters the valleys. So you can see the mix of valleys and waters. It looks like a snake when you see it from the very far. It looks like a snake, and like in India we have a stories behind Sahyadri ranges and Himalayan ranges, and every mountain has some particular name and every mountain has some particular stories behind it. In exactly the same way, there are hundreds of fjords in Norway, and everyone compete with each other, saying that my fjord is beautiful and my fjord is beautiful. So people who are staying in that particular area, they will always flaunt about their fjords being more beautiful than the other fjords. So and every fjord has some kind of stories, has some kind of things connected to that particular fjords. So it's very much like India, that we have different mountains, and we have many temples in the mountains. They don't have a lot of temples over there, they don't have a lot of churches over there, but they have some of the other stories always connected to the fjords. So fjords is nothing but the valleys filled up with the water.
Yes, thank you, Mahip. I think some students also feel like, okay, what do you mean for fjords, definition of fjords for Indian students? But I think he's just trying to make it easier for you so you can relate. So I'm not just talking in the air, so you can follow everything. So and then you see the second word called Lofoten Islands. These are the islands in the north, and they are very famous. These are like small fishing villages. They used to be small fishing villages, but now they are famous travel destinations. And also, the I mean, the experience in there is really great. You experience the northern lights, and different kinds of water activities, water sports. So I will just give a small appetizer for everything, because I can talk for one thing for 1 hour. So I will just, if you have any questions, please text it so I can answer it. Um, Norwegian salmon. Salmon is, is a type of fish, but that you can find all over the Norway. And if we in Scandinavia, if somebody asks about Norwegian food, this is the first word comes in our minds. Like, okay, when we talk, okay, Norwegian food, yes, that must be salmon. Some kind of dish taken from that fish. Of course, they are very creative to make it and serve it in different ways. But smoked salmon, even raw salmon, these are like one of the favorites when you travel through in north of Norway. um, then yes, of course, the waffles, Norwegian waffles. Yeah, waffles, I'm sure you already know, because kids love sweets, and these kind of dishes are famous in our country as well. Vikings, yes, that is very interesting. um, Hi, Janvi. Yes, thank you for commenting. Vikings, these are what we call in, if I use a Hindi word, we हम लोग वो word नहीं use करते थे when we were children, like samudri lutere, to make it more creative for you or more interesting. These are like, if you Google it, you can even find a series, like a fun series from Norwegian Vikings. Yes, but they are not like exactly like pirates, but it was another version of pirates. Not yeah, but you can look for Norwegian Vikings, then you will find a lot of stuff, and even I think making a project on it will be fun for you. Then I don't know this.
The
Then we
famous
talk
painting
about
of the scream, or the lady who's screaming, that one of the
ah
paintings. Yeah. So that's these nine things are a few of the most
freshman.
important things Norway is famous for. So fjords and Lofoten Island and Norwegian salmon, which is a fish,
Yeah.
and the heart-shaped waffles and Vikings, and the famous painting of Scream. The way we have a Mona Lisa in France, similar we have a Scream, a lady screaming in that painting, which is very famous in Norway. And again, it's famous for the Winter Olympics. Most of the the people who win the Winter Olympics, the gold medals, the highest number of gold medals goes to the people from Norway. And skiing being it's one of the most there are a lot of snow in Norway, so ski is one of the most frequent activity
Yes.
done by the. Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Mahib. Because also there are a lot of slopes, because there are mountains, so it's a lot easier to ski around in Norway, and it's also famous and most expensive in Europe, I would say. But it's amazing. And we can move ahead with slides. I think you have an idea of what Norway is famous for now. Yes, these are the facts. I mean, we don't have to discuss that, but we can just take a look at it. The population, you can see there are not so many people live in Norway. So as also said in the video, there are 15 persons per per kilometer, something like that. Yeah, so there are not so many. The population is not so much, and nature is a lot. And yeah, as I told, the capital city is Oslo. It's amazing and beautiful city. It's and between I'm right now I'm sitting in Copenhagen, and between Copenhagen and Oslo there is they are connected through an overnight cruise. There is that's the like fun thing for youngsters and for children, because there's a cruise every evening from Oslo, and from Copenhagen they sail from one city to other, and they reach in the, for example, if cruise goes from Oslo, that reaches to Copenhagen next morning. So it's an overnight cruise, and it's beautiful, and it's famous, and especially the school children, the youngsters, and if a lot of Danes have to go to skiing in Norway, they take this route because they can travel with car in cruise, and then they can drive up to the north to have these beautiful slopes where they can ski. Yeah, it has not been that famous this year because of the this situation we have, but normally it's amazing. um, yeah, currency Norwegian kroner, and the time difference is 4.5 hours behind you guys. We are right now it's 2 minutes past 10 in the morning, and it's the same time in Norway as well. It's 3.5 hours now in the summers, but in winters, the time difference is 4.5 hours behind you, because we change the time, as you know. In summers, we are ahead of our normal time because of the daylight saving. As we will come to this daylight and this night life when we will go through all the slides, so we can move ahead. So life in Norway, especially as you see the examples, I want to talk about the children. I mean, the life of the children in Norway is amazing. Especially when you are a child, like when you are not even 2 months old, you can see people are training to their children to start swimming. And when you start to walk, then you get your cycles, and then I mean, the sports culture is in the bones. They are very sporty people. uh, it's not uncommon to see that a 1-year-old child is cycling without pedals, trying to balance, and then 2-3 years old, like, they are well trained to cycle around in the cities. And yes, you can see also in the pictures, and that they are very sporty people, they love nature. And of course, they are trying to make children responsible. And if we read through all this, but I yeah, because as I told you, you see that a 1-year-old is trying to walk on the cycle. So that means they are given them the freedom, the responsibility of take care themselves. Uh, this is a Scandinavian culture, and this is also the Norwegian culture, because we are focusing on Norway today. That you want your kids to have an opinion, so you have to give them a freedom with a supervision. You cannot have all the freedom of the world when you are 2 years old, but of course then you have to have the freedom that you need with certain kind of guidance. We also do the same within our Indian culture, but our way is a bit different. Nothing is right or wrong, but it's just the difference I'm trying to explain. And then we talk about the egalitarian society. This is like something when you say like we all are equal. Nobody is higher than us. Nobody is lower than us. It's also, if you compare this with, it's normal to have one child with a very branded clothes on, and other child with the, maybe not so much expensive things on, but you do not see any difference in the behavior. You do not see any one trying to show off or anyone trying to look down to others. This is in the culture. This is really beautiful thing, and I don't know, but it's not like prohibited, but no one does here. So it's even in Denmark, even in Scandinavia, we all are equal. And I think
Right.
this is something amazing that we can carry for the future to make our next generation more beautiful.
So I
We
think
can,
Maninder
I would
ma'am,
like to add some points over here, that on the points of being equal, in Norway and in anywhere in Scandinavia, but precisely in Norway, treating people equally is one of the most important thing, and it's in their blood. It's not they do it fakely, or they just pretend to doing it, but it's in the blood that they treat everyone, be it a driver, be it a watchman of a hotel, or be it a cook in the restaurant, or whoever it is. Everybody is treated, all the kids, like the way we judge people in India, what kind of clothes they are wearing, and what kind of car they have, or what kind of mobile they have. On the basis of that, we try to evaluate the people in India. But that's not the case in Scandinavia. In anywhere in Scandinavia, they don't at all try to judge people, or try to evaluate the people based on the types of things they are carrying. So that's the materialistic things are the least concerned things in Scandinavia. They don't at all believe in all these kind of things. And there is a law of gente. There is a law of gente which is very famous in Scandinavia. I'm sure Maninder must be also aware of it. That you like, the people cannot say that, जैसे मैं कोई बिल्डिंग के 13th फ्लोर पे रहता हूँ. Like I live in a high rise building, and I live on a 13th floor. I am not allowed to say to any of my friends that I live on a 13th floor, because that might create a feeling of kind of दूसरे लोगों के मन में kind of वो एक low feeling होगा कि अरे ये 13th floor पे रहता है, हम छोटी बिल्डिंग में रहते हैं, so that is a kind of practice they do. They don't talk about anything good they have. They don't ever say that अगे अरे मेरे पास 2 कार है, अरे मेरे पास 4 मोबाइल है, अरे मेरे पास इतना बड़ा घर है. ऐसी बातें वो अपने कॉन्वर्जेशन में कभी करते ही नहीं है. They never do such kind of conversation. So कभी भी किसी के भी मन में ऐसी फीलिंग नहीं आती कि ओके ये बंदा हमारे से आगे है. I just want to share one practical example. हम लोग एक बार एक टूर पे गए हुए थे नॉर्वे में, और हमारा जो कोच का ड्राइवर था वो हमारे साथ था. तो यूजुअली इंडिया में क्या होता है, आप कहीं पे भी होटल में, रेस्टोरेंट में खाना खाने जाएंगे तो आपका ड्राइवर कार में बैठा रहेगा और आप खाना खा के आप वापस गाड़ी में आ जाओगे. बट दैट वाज नॉट द केस. इनफैक्ट जब हम लोग गाड़ी से उतरे और रेस्टोरेंट में गए, तो जो रेस्टोरेंट का ओनर था वो फुल टाइम वो हमारे ड्राइवर से ही बात कर रहा था, और हमसे बात ही नहीं कर रहा था. बिकॉज ही वाज सो मतलब he is a owner of a restaurant, and we were with the driver of our van. But that owner of the restaurant was continuously talking to the driver. He was, और हम इतने बड़े बड़े delegates दुनिया के अलग अलग पार्ट से आए हुए थे. That owner of the restaurant was not at all interested in talking with us. So this is kind of a, yeah. So they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just carry on.
Yeah, it's okay. No, that's fine. So I just want to share all these things, that being equal is the one of the most, also age wise also, not only the designation, not only the your money wise value, even the age. अगर आप वहाँ पे कोई 60 साल का आदमी है जो उसका बैग उठा के स्टेशन से टैक्सी में बैठने जा रहा है, हम इंडिया में क्या करेंगे, हम इंडिया में उसको हेल्प करने की कोशिश करेंगे. हम लोग बोलेंगे अंकल आपका बैग दे दो, और हम उसका बैग. बट वहाँ पे अगर आप हेल्प करने की कोशिश करोगे तो दे विल फील ऑफेंडेड. उनको अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. उन लोग को क्या लगेगा कि डोंट यू थिंक कि एम आई नॉट कैपेबल ऑफ हैंडलिंग माई बैग्स. सो एज वाइज ऑल्सो वहाँ पे भी बहुत ज्यादा इक्वल है कि आप किसी भी एजेड आदमी को, अब देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन इंडिया, वी डू दैट आउट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. तो ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि इंडियंस रॉन्ग करते हैं या नॉर्वेजियंस राइट करते हैं. हमारा कल्चर अलग है, उनका कल्चर अलग है, बट उनकी थिंकिंग ये है कि एवरीवन शुड बी ट्रीटेड इक्वल. That's what the thing is all about.
And I would like to comment on student-teacher relationships as well. As Mr. Mahib gave an example of 60-year-old. जब मैं आई थी डेनमार्क, it was like in the my schooling has been done in India, and when I came here for graduation, my teacher, I was calling him as sir, and he was like, why are you saying that? And I said, why, what should I say? I used his last name and used like Mr. Sondagard. And he said, no, 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 no. I will be very distant from you if you call me this. He was 76 years old, and he asked me to call him by his first name. It took me a while to get used to it, but this is because he said, then there will be a lot of gap between you and me, and then we are not equal. If we are not on the equal platform, then we cannot understand each other. And if we don't understand each other, then I cannot teach you. So I was like, okay, I thought teaching means like, but it's the cultural difference. It's nothing right or wrong, but it's just the difference we're trying to explain. It's the equality that is egalitarian thing that we're trying to explain. So I think it was interesting for you. Let's.
Yes. Maninder ma'am, as you have been constantly using the word Scandinavia, I would like you to tell our children who are not aware, what do we mean by Scandinavian countries or Scandinavia in general, and how Norway is one of the countries in Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's one and the most important one in Scandinavia. When we talk about Scandinavia, it's the three countries. That's Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. And then we
Is
take it
Finland
as.
not a part of it, ma'am?
No, Finland is not in Scandinavia, but Finland is a part of Nordic countries. These are two
Right.
different.
So if we could tell the difference between Scandinavia and Nordic countries, I think children would benefit from that as well.
Yeah, I think Scandinavia is more like they are very similar to each other. If I have to say in other words, if we talk about India and different states in India, the similar ones, we talk about Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi. They are very similar in culture and food. Then just to take an example, even though they are different countries, but then they are very similar. If we talk about Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. But if we take Nordic is a bit broader. That's mostly like if we talk about north of Europe, then it's like then we include Finland, then they include Iceland, Greenland, Faroe Islands. Am I correct, Mahib? I think these are the ones. Yeah. So Nordic is more broader version. Finnish culture is very similar to Scandinavian culture, but still there is a difference in a little bit difference in the culture and the language. So it's yeah, but it's also, you're right, it's very close, and many people still think that it's a part of Scandinavia. Yeah, and we can move on with the slides maybe. Or is there any other questions? Please, no question is stupid. I'm looking forward to have some questions from children. Yes, as let's look at the cuisine. Does it look interesting to you, the pictures? Maybe. Yes, waffles. Yeah, that's what I thought so. Yeah. So that's, as we talked about, like Atlantic food is for us, the most amazing part is the waffles and the desserts, because rest of the food, even though it looks nice, it's amazing. Maybe for some Indians they would love that, but for me it's too plain. There are no spices. So I usually look for something spicy, and then I love the Norwegian desserts with it. And it's more, the food is more like a lot of fish, a lot of meat, served in like of course they have a big cuisine where they cook in different ways, but it's, for us mostly it's a bit what we say, not in our bones. We are grown up on spices, so we that's what I miss. And when I travel in Norway, I carry my own my own instant noodles. I carry my Maggie. When I miss a lot of spices, then I use my, you know, hot water, and I cook on myself in my room and don't tell anyone, and then, you know, have Norwegian dessert. But they also have breads, different kinds of breads, uh, some very delicious ones as well. And brown bread is quite famous, and this kind of rug bread, like very hard one, brown one, that's made from the what how, sometimes it's, I'm lacking words. It's like you know, the wheat, the whole wheat. It's not a refined one, but it's very healthy. We love it after living in her so many years. But one, at least once a day, we look for an Indian meal. So yeah.
So Indian, there are a lot of Indian restaurants also in big cities like Oslo and Bergen, and
Oh
it's very
yes.
famous. So not only the Indians who go and eat there, it's a lot of Norwegian people. Though the Norwegian cuisine is very similar to European cuisine, it's not spicy. It's very bland. It's very plain. Scandinavia, in most of the hotels, if you go, they will serve you Scandinavian breakfast. It's a different kind of breakfast, which they call it as a Scandinavian breakfast, but it is not very different from the European breakfast. It's as good as a European breakfast. It's not
Yeah.
hot basically. It's more of bread, butter, and croissants
Balls.
and breads. Absolutely. So that's a Norwegian breakfast. But yeah, Indian food is getting famous, and there are a lot of Indian restaurants in Oslo and Bergen, and also in a smaller cities. Rice is one of the kind of a frequently eaten thing in Norway. So you can easily get a curry and rice in a smaller towns where they can. It looks like Indian, but it's not Indian though. But yeah, but Europe is more of Norway is more of seafood, more of king crabs and salmons and sweet and waffles and a lot of desserts. They have different types of desserts. So this is all about the Norwegian cuisine.
Yes, so someone asked about fitness. Fitness in Norway is like you hardly find any Norwegian that's not fit. They love nature, they love trekking, they love bicycling, they love sports, they are doing skiing, they are many hundreds of activities they are doing in the mountains, in the nature. And this especially in the summertime when there is sun at the night, they are usually on. I don't know where all this energy comes from, but they are, you see the Norwegians, they are, especially at night, they sleep very little, because this is a few months in the year they want to enjoy at the full. So they are spending most of the time outside in nature. So they are, even though they eat a lot of you know, waffles and sweets, but they, you find them always fit, you know, most of the time. I cannot say 100% always, but yes, most of them are quite fit. But of course, it's the same as in the winter time when it's dark, then they have indoor gyms as the same as the Western culture. But I don't want to comment on it because you already know this. So yeah, the most interesting part is this daylight at night. Waffles are a rage in India. Yeah, you're welcome, Yaksh. So Viking, yeah. So
Question.
yes, who
Ma'am,
is
can
this?
you tell? This is Janvi. I would
Hi,
like to
Janvi.
know. Hi, ma'am. I would like to know the hours of daylight. It is like in summer the hours of daylight, and in winter the hours of daylight.
Yes, it's actually. I think we were coming on that soon in our next slides. But if you have asked, I would like to say, because in some part of Norway, especially in the North Norway, in from starting from mid June, there will be like 24 hours of daylight. You can see midnight sun, and it's the same uh, until August. And from August onwards, it starts to, the daylight starts to decrease, and you know, starts to get a little bit dark during the mid of the night, and until October already, it's by 3:30, 4 o'clock, it's dark. So this it's a huge what you say difference between the summers and the winters. In the summers, almost 24 hours of light, and in the winters, is almost 24 hours of night. Even in the north of Norway, it's completely dark. You get a little bit of sunlight during the, at 10, 11, and then it starts to get dark again. But it's not the whole Norway. It's the north of Norway we are talking about. Even if we talk about the capital city and the mid of Norway, like if we talk about Oslo, and if we talk about mid of Norway, it's the same. Of course, there the light is there until 10, 11 at night in the summertime, and the sun rises again at 2:30, 2 o'clock, and then it's the same circle. And the winters is the same. You see the sun in the morning at 9, around 9, because it changes very fast. So that's why I don't remember the exact dates, but they keep on changing. It's the same like our Indian calendars. We have Diwali on different dates. So in the winter time, is in the south and mid of Norway, the sunlight is around 9 o'clock in the morning, and it starts, and the sun is gone by 3:30. So it's dark again.
Sorry, ma'am. Namaste, but I wanted to ask that what type of vegetation is there over there?
Vegetation. When we talk about pine trees, there are a lot of pine trees in Norway, and then there are blueberries. We talk about apple trees. If we go to the north of India, we go in the colder regions. Then you
Kashmir.
see a
Yeah,
similarity. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it's a bit similar. Yeah, but the winter vegetation, you will say, with the cold landscape, it's the same like pine trees, blueberries. When it gets a little bit of summer, then we call it summer in here, but it's still cold. Uh, then we get apples. Yeah, and that's what I can comment of. I cannot think of much more right now. I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. Who was asking something?
Ma'am, we have this
Janvi has written.
concept of vegetarianism in India. So Janvi is asking, how can a vegetarian survive in Norway?
In fact, the world globally is moving towards not only vegetarian but vegan to this extent.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
And
so.
Europe is actually known for the best of fruits, milk,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
vegetables. But
Norway.
I
anyway,
am vegetarian. Yes, the best example I can. I am a vegetarian, and I'm living in Scandinavia for 15 years, and I have traveled all over Norway. You will always find something. Sometimes it can be not very interesting for us Indians, but they have very interesting salads, different kinds of salads. Also, pasta and Italian things, pizzas are there. So it's not like they only have this their own traditional food. They have, it's Vasudev Kutumbakam. So we are getting in the global culture. So we can find everything everywhere. Even in the small cities, small villages, there are pizzerias. So it's not a problem. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Yes. Okay, so we move ahead to Vikings. These are more like exciting thing to talk about, but I think mostly for the children. There is a history of Vikings when we talk about Scandinavia, Norway, and Denmark. And now you can see some facts on the slide that. Yeah.
There are
So they
some.
were tall, high. Sorry.
there,
Yes.
there there are some kind of misconceptions and misinterpretations of Vikings. What we have in our mind that Vikings are always a huge and long people, and they always wear a helmet with a horn, and they are very strong people, and they are very dirty people, they are not very clean people. But that's not the case in actual, that the Vikings are not as really, they probably weren't as tall as they are depicted. And Vikings were pretty clean people. They were not as dirty and as bad we always imagine. Okay. And they love to travel a lot. They have, I'm sure that Vikings must have explored, even though they are not so much into the books and we don't know much about it. But the kind of sailing knowledge what they have, they must have visited all the places in the world before anybody else who has done it, we know, right? So they arrived North America before the Columbus. They probably
Yes.
didn't wear the horn helmets, what we always think about. Whenever you think about a Viking, the first image comes to your mind is a helmet with the horns. But that's not the case. They never it's not a normal kind of a tradition that they always wear a helmet with the horns. And many Vikings were actually farmers. We always think that Vikings are only the pirates and they're only the fighters, but they are not actually one of them. They Many of them was
Yeah.
also the farmers.
Yeah,
They were the
because
stewards.
yes, it was kind of part-time job. In the summertime when there is greenery, then they used to do farming, and when it was getting too cold and it was dark, then they travel to the south or to the other regions of the world when they can get some sun and also some. It was kind of second jobs for many of them. So they were at the same time Vikings and farmers. Is there anything else you want to say about Vikings, Mahim?
Yeah, yeah. Also, the Vikings, the women had some different rights from the other normal women in Norway. So Viking women used to get some more additional benefits being a Viking woman. And they have their own god. They were not into Christianity or not into particular the way we have. If you go in the regional parts of India, if you go in the smaller parts of India, the tribal people, they have their own gods. So similar, the Vikings were like a tribal people of Norway. They have their own gods. They have their own rituals. They have their own culture. They have their own ways of celebrating different festivals. So they were not the main part of the main league of Norway, but in one part of Norway, which is mostly the northern part of Norway, Vikings were very famous. And dead Vikings were placed in the boats. The way we have different rituals for in Hindu and in Muslim, that we have different rituals. Similarly for Vikings, the dead people were placed on the boats, and that boats was left in the sea just to go wherever it want to go, and then the fishes used to feed the body. Okay, so the dead bodies were placed in the boats. And the one of the few words from in the English vocabulary is from the Vikings, which is Berserk, which comes from the Vikings. So these are some of the facts of Vikings. We would like to share it with you.
Thank you, Mahim. I think some of them even I don't know. It's good to know. Thanks. Yeah, we can move ahead with the slides. Yes, they are patriots, Norwegians. They love their country, and they on their national day, you can see the even the small children are, in bunad, their own traditional dress, and that is the most famous thing about Norwegians in Nordic land. Like uh, they are brave. They love their country during the Second World War. In whole Scandinavia, they were the bravest to fight against the Nazis, and they didn't give up so easily. That's why there was a lot of destruction in Norway during the Second World War. And on the contrary, in Denmark, it was not that much, because the Danish king at that time, he just surrendered. He didn't want the people to suffer, but the Norwegians, they were totally against the surrender. So they gave a tough fight for their freedom. And that's what I think, that's where I can relate the Indians and Norwegians. because we have also fought for our freedom. Our forefathers have done that for us, of course, and and we are grateful for that. And the Norwegians are not different. They are warm-hearted people. They have done. Even though even if we talk about now, if you go in some village and talk about those days, even their children and grandchildren, great grandchildren, they can tell you stories about how important it is, the national day. And then they love their national day, and they love to wear these dresses, and they want to be on the streets, and they are so proud of it. So that's the feeling. I mean, if someone in future will get a chance to travel in Norway on the national day, then you feel their what you say, the emotions that they have, the enjoyment, the greatness, and how grateful they are. So that's great. And the text on the screen, I'm sure you all can read, so I don't have to explain much on that.
So a national day in Norway, it's not like a long weekend for Indians nowadays. We treat it as a long weekend sometimes.
No.
They really participated in the national day. They really enjoyed, and they wear that bunats, which is their kind of a costumes, cultural costumes. You can see all the kids and all the young people also who are on the streets wearing these traditional dresses. Though this traditional dress is only worn during some special occasions like wedding or some festivals, but normally the dressing style of Norway is like any other European or uh, Western countries. The casuals, and since they are more into sports, they are more into trekking and all. So you can see it's more of a casual dressing. You will not see very formal dressing. But yeah, one of the best dressing sense I have seen. I've visited more than 15-20 countries, and I think one of the best dressing senses I've seen so far is one of the is in Norway, in all Scandinavian countries in fact. So these people are very up to date. It's not always about brand, what kind of brand they're wearing, what kind of company, what kind of latest trend they're wearing. No, that's not the case in Norway. It's always very up to the based on the season and based on the requirements. They are always well dressed people.
Yes. So maybe we can move
I would
ahead
just
now.
like to add some little information, for those children who are probably a little confused. So Vikings, you can say it's kind of a tribe, and it is no longer existent in the way it was. There would be some who are carrying on with the beliefs, same beliefs and traditions, earlier. But this tribe used to plunder or raid people to get whatever they want. But it's more than that. It's all about certain beliefs, carrying on with the same traditions and those beliefs and customs that their forefathers used to have. So they were not into too much of modern learning, modern education. So Vikings culture is not the same as it used to be, and they are not as many in number. There are hardly any.
No, there are none actually. There are no.
Yeah, there are hardly. But there are some people who believe in the same uh, customs or traditions, a few, but they are not actually the real Vikings.
Yeah, it's actually is the same as exciting as for the Norwegian children as well, to know the Viking culture and to know to visit their museums, to see how they were doing, what they were doing. So it's a kind of history that they are preserving to show to the next generations. But there are no Vikings in Scandinavia. No, not anymore. So yeah. So then we can talk about the architecture. Maybe some of you have already heard about the sculpture park in Oslo. Um, it's uh, it's amazing. I mean, if you visit there in some time in future, and when you grow up, when you have some, I think it's amazing. It's when you go in there, the experience you get on the each sculpture. Yeah, Nishta, me too. I love Norway as well. The architecture, if you look at these pictures that they are on the slide. If you look on the left side, then this wooden church, these are stave churches, and these we can find in the villages in Norway. They have still kept it like, even though if they have to renovate them, they just do in a very old way, like they should look old. And they um, some of them are really small, some are big, but this is a kind of architecture that's world famous. A lot of tourists would like to visit only Norway only to see these churches. I mean, they are just like a church from the inside, but they are made of wood. And the outside, the structure is interesting because every church is different. Some are small, big, but they're made of wood, and people are very interested and fascinated to take pictures of these churches. And then, what should I talk about? These are the modern architectural buildings. As far as I remember, this is the one on the left, the underneath. It's in Oslo, if I'm right, Mahib. And on in the center, the this sculpture is from this sculpture park,
Land park. Yeah.
Oslo.
Yeah.
And on the right side, on the first picture, is Bergen, um, if I remember it correct.
So this
It's
white building
Bergen.
you can see on the left hand side is the Oslo Opera. It's one of the
On the right side.
right on the right side. It's a deco building. It's beautiful architecture. You can climb this roof of this opera house, which is very close to the Oslo station. And there are some opera shows. You can even buy the tickets and see the opera show. And the middle one, the boy standing in between, is from the Vigeland Park, which is again in Oslo, which is one of the very famous
Yes.
parks of Oslo. And on the left hand side is a Bergen. There is a museum. Again, it's a beautiful architecture, and it's a very modern museum. And again, this all shows that what are the different new and old architecture. There are not many old buildings, but there are some beautiful churches in Norway, and then there are a lot of new constructions and new architectures which you can see in Norway now.
These are
Yeah,
very
because
interesting informations that you are sharing with us. I am really enjoying. I'm sure children are excited and are enjoying this. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we will have to make it a little quick because we have
Yeah.
exceeded the time limit, and we would like students to share their thoughts also towards the end and ask some questions. So we have to move a little faster. But just for you to know that we are thoroughly enjoying it. Thank you for
that's
adding
great.
so much of information to this. Thank you.
That's great to know, ma'am. Thanks. We can move ahead with the slides. Yeah, these are all the scenes that are most famous in Norway. On the left side, that's Atlantic Road. That's beautiful, as you can see in the pictures. I don't want to say much about it. I think if you Google it and if you try to see some videos or some pictures of it, then you will see the real value, because my words will not explain the real beauty. And it's the same. The right side, up there is not Cape. And if we go down right side, it is this water falling. That's, if I am correct, that's the Gairanga Fjord, right, Mahir?
Right, absolutely.
Yes, and in the middle is another click of Atlantic
That
Road,
Atlantic
and on
Road.
the left there is left, the
From
down
Railway.
one is the Flom train. That's the world famous, and I think only those who have seen it can tell the real value. Like, the words cannot explain. I think you should definitely look some YouTube videos from this for this Flom train. Um,
I'm
FLA.
very jealous of the profession you people are in.
You should
You
not be
get
after
to,
Corona time.
I would like to, as a part time, if it is possible for me, I would really want to get into tours and into tourism. This is fantastic. Children, you also, if you're interested in visiting beautiful places all over the world, this is a fascinating career choice.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. We can go move on to the next slide.
Yes.
So these are again some beautiful sceneries from Norway.
Yes.
There is a
Yes.
cable car. This This is a Tromso cable car.
Yes.
And this is on the right hand side, you can see an observatory deck. There are a lot of observatory deck which they have built up in many of the cities. So you can go, one is in Flom and one is in Hardanger Fjord, if I'm not wrong, Maninder, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there
And
are,
now you see, now you see in the pictures what a fjord is, right? You see mountains and water together. As Mahip explained, it's a valley, and then on the ground there's a lot of water and mountains. I mean, you can talk about Norway for whole day, but just try to I think there's a lot of information on the internet about Norway. So if you are fascinated by some pictures, then just check ahead. And I mean, if you want to ask something, please ask. More than welcome to ask.
there is also for the professionals, there is also a course on the website of the tourism board. You can do that course and you can get a certificate of being a Norway specialist. So there's also, it's free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for that. Yeah. We can move on to
So
the
we
next
can
slide.
move.
Students, if you need the name of any of these pictures later on, you can always check with us and we can send you more details about any particular picture if you find it more interesting, and if you need more information about it, you can always get in touch with us and we can share more details about it. And I think we'll quickly move to the Northern Lights and Midnight Sun, which is the most exciting part of Norway. And for the rest of the slide, I think, ma'am, you can share it with the students, and if they have, those are more of a kind of just information about Norway. And if they need any specific information more about Norway, they can always get in touch with us.
I think it would be really interesting to know about Northern Lights, how that scene is, and if you have experienced it yourself. And for the rest of the slides, we will let them read, right? So based on their reading, if they have any questions, we will ask them. But I would like you to talk about Northern Lights, if you can.
Yes, we also had a video about Northern Lights, if I remember, Mahip.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, lady. Shall I play it now?
Yes, Nishita.
Yeah, you can play both the videos and then we can quickly tell you about the Northern Lights.
Yes, because then it will make more sense. Yeah.
And this is about
Midnattssola går aldri å legge seg akkurat som oss.
Sommeren i Nord-Norge når det er middagssol, ja, hva gjør man da?
Når det er middagssol, så er det litt andre regler. For da er ikke mamma så streng på det her innertiden. Da får vi selvfølgelig være litt lenger ute og kose oss.
Ja, vi kan jo steke vafler og drikke kaffe midt på natta.
Så bruker vi å dykke etter ting og lete etter skatter under vannet. Det ser ut som det er i Karibia, men det er kanskje lurt med våtdrakt. Det er iskaldt.
Den beste opplevelsen med middagssol må jo være da jeg var liten i lag med bestefaderen og ut på natta med båten hans ut og fiske.
Man får mye fisk om natta. Da er det stille. Og da er det godt å bare være ute på havet.
Midnattssola, det er jo noe som vi egentlig har ventet på hele vinteren.
Det er jo åpenbart den samme sola som på dagen, men ikke like skarp å se på, vil jeg si.
Mild.
Ja, den er mild.
Det er mer spesielt. Alle blir ganske vakre når man tar bilder.
Den deilige følelsen du får i kroppen når sola står på himmelen og skinner midt på natta.
Det er jo en medisin, egentlig.
Folk blir litt gladere når det er sol hele natta, eller hele døgnet. Da.
As I told you already, thank you so much. These are every time I saw them, these things I get fascinated, you know. The midnight sun, and then we're talking about the northern lights. Midnight sun, as I already told, like I don't know where they get all this energy from, these Norwegians. When there is sun at 12 o'clock at night, of course you see as not as many as cars, and you know, but if you go into the nature and then you see people sitting in or trying to do something, or you know, on the beaches, you see some activity going on. Of course the sun brings energy, but the culture and the way they are brought up is that way, you know. uh, 6 months in a year they are completely full-fledged active during the night, and in the winter time then you see the opposite, and there are not so many people outside because it's dark. But then when the clock rings, and then it's after the midnight, then you know, in the north of Norway, then you love to take long walks because you don't know when then there is a knock in the sky, and then you see, wow. Wow, is this I'm on earth, or I'm somewhere floating between the, you know, heaven and earth. I mean, the I'm sorry, the northern lights, it's just you can't I don't know, I don't have words. I mean, you have seen it, it's magnificent. It's a, you know, this is some kind of reaction between the sun and yes, and the air, and you know, the ions we have in the atmosphere. Is Yes, and then the different kinds of colors are shown in the sky, and this is just like, and there is no time, and I mean, it they are, of course, you can see in the sky when the sky is clear, when there are no clouds, but they just pop up when they like to, these lights, and then they go away when they like to go away. It's like a fairy tale. Yeah.
Fantastic. Ma'am, there are some questions from the students.
Yep.
Sachi is asking, what about the education system in Norway? I think I would take that up very short, in a very brief way. So children, the education doesn't start very early. They believe that children up to age of 6 and 7 should be left more free to explore and do the learning. So it's not very early, like
Right.
2.5 years in India, that they start going to nursery, etc. Then they have a more relaxed education system within the school. There are more breaks between the classes, more of experiential and project-based learning, so it's more realistic. You can learn more about Norwegian education.
Yeah.
Then there is a question, how did you feel, ma'am, when you saw the Northern Lights? I think ma'am explained that she found it magnificent.
Yeah, overwhelmed. I have no words to explain. I was just looking. There's nothing to say. But one thing I want to add in the education system, I'm sorry, was that like up to 7th standard, there are no exams. So they
Right.
believe in learning by doing and trying, and so they don't want to give a pressure to their children. So there's no learning pressure. They learn by doing and learn by their own pace.
Right. So
And
more
the rest
relaxed
you
environment for learning.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not very competitive like in India that you have to clear exams and then only you move
No.
forward. It's true.
But also, I should add something on it, being a local in here, because then, you know, in this kind of relaxed education system, you only have average students. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
also drawbacks. You only have average
Right.
students because they don't care about the competition
Right.
or if they should do. So the competition
So
is
there
not
are
that bad.
pluses and right. There are
Yes.
pros and cons of every system.
Yes. Yes.
You're right, ma'am.
So
Then there is a question.
yeah.
Should I move on with the next question, ma'am, or you want to add something?
Yes. Yes, please. It's okay.
So the next question is, do you celebrate Indian festivals like Holi
Yes,
and Diwali? Is it allowed? Because in some countries it's not allowed. This is a question.
Yes. The correct answer to this is No, because nobody knows what Diwali is or Holi is. But we celebrate in our own ways. In Norway as well, like on Diwali, we can of course decorate our homes, we can have diyas, and we can have also in the weekends when we cannot do fireworks in that time of the year, but we can just celebrate. We can all, for example, all Indians, they find a day like on which day they will do it. They are usually in the weekends on Sundays. Then everyone goes in there, and then we have a place where we can have our own music and food, and we celebrate in a different way, but yes, we do it. And also it's the same with the holy colors, of course. It's Most of the people, they don't know what is it, but the Indians who live there, we know what it is, and we get together and we play in our own ways. So yeah, that is the difference.
Right.
I saw.
Then there is a question. When How do people adjust when it is night, half month, when people go to job? How do they adjust to this? You know, some
Yes.
days or some months when it is 24 hours of day, and then when it is
Yes.
almost 24 hours a night. How do people adjust their lifestyles and going to
Yes,
their
the
jobs,
clock.
etc.?
Yes,
Yes,
it's just
right,
mainly the clock, because when I arrived here, I was in a shock. It was September. My school started, university started in September, but it was daylight until 9 o'clock at night, and I was not used to it. Because we are so used to, our brain is connected to the light outside. When it gets dark, it's that means times to sleep or time to relax, the night activity. But
right,
here we just follow the clock.
right.
We just have to get used to it.
Very true.
So yeah,
So clock becomes
that's
the
it.
guide, and you simply follow it. The question
Yes,
is, what about the education for children? I think we already spoke about it.
yes.
She
Is there
means
any
for the very young
specific thing?
children, very young
Yes,
children, early childhood.
yes. From 6 months onwards, we can send our children to. My own children have been going to this daycare centers, and when they get 2 years, then they have this kindergartens. Then you have the same, the lower kindergarten, what we call LKG, and upper kindergarten, what we call UKG in India. I don't know if how is it going. It's still happening. And after 6 years, when you have to be minimum 6 years to start the official school, as ma'am already said. And the school is also informal education system, and learning by doing until seventh standard, no exams. That's exciting.
Right, ma'am. So there is a question on what do they export and import. What I know is mainly they export petroleum and petroleum products,
Yes, yes,
machines, chemicals, fish, ships,
yes,
etc.
yes. Yes, you already answered it. And on top of that, I want to add, like most of the Indians, they are working in the oil industry in Norway. The
Right,
engineers, if I'm saying the correct word, the mechanical engineers, they
right.
are, yes. So they look at Indians as educated people who have technical knowledge, who have brain, and as I think that was also one thing that we wanted to talk about, but I'll take it very short. Like they look at Indians as respectable people, those
Right.
who are warm-hearted people, and they are educated, and they want to use their education in their what we say, the work industry. So they are hiring a lot of Indians in the oil petroleum industry as well. So
I
yes,
picked out one
And for
information from what you said. I think it's mentioned in their book also that Indians are highly respected
yes, yes.
there in Norway.
Yes,
And I think
they
all over
are.
the world where Indians work, they command that respect because of their determination and hard work that they put in. And that kind of
Yes,
rigor comes from the kind of culture we have in India, which is highly competitive. Like I was saying, there are some plus points. There is a bright
yes,
side
yes,
also of
yes,
the competition that we have in India.
yes.
The rigor
That's
that
what.
comes.
right,
Yes, I completely agree. Yes.
thinking out of the box.
Next slide, please, Nishita. Nishita, can we move on, please?
I think
Yeah.
next few minutes the text. I think you can share
Yeah.
it
So
with the
from here,
kids
what
if you want.
children can
Yes.
do is maybe they can just make a note of it, and if they want to explore, they can explore more.
Yes.
Our students have, I'm sure they've read books by Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
Next, Nishita.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I think ma'am
Norwegian is the
already spoke
language.
about the
What they speak
language.
in India.
Knowledge.
Yeah, so very similar to English. If somebody would like to learn some foreign language and if they want to learn Norwegian, I think you can download some apps on your mobile and
Yes,
you
because
can
the
learn the
alphabets, yes, the alphabets are not different from English. There are
Right.
few added alphabets, but they are
Right.
not, as Mahib said, it's not very different from English.
Like fjords, the spelling of fjords, it has a J, which is
Yes,
kind of pronounced as Y, like in
yeah,
Spain
it's
yeah,
also.
called, yes, yes, it's called YOL. The alphabet
Right.
is
like
called
a tree.
YOL.
Oh, that's great. Next,
So,
Nishita. Nishita, we can quickly have the rest of the slides played.
yes, we already actually,
Yes,
I
that's
think,
it.
talked about the Winter Olympics, and also they are very sporty and active people. So, yeah. Um, yeah,
Wow.
this thing, paperclip. Yeah, this is also, they can read, I think.
I
The
think IKEA
sports,
is also getting famous in India.
yes. Yes, and somebody asked about the sports. They are mostly as we already talked about these winter activities. Mostly, they are very common. They are like skiing
Mhm.
and different kinds of skiing, snowshoeing, ice fishing. These kind of activities are there. Mostly, skiing and cycling are the most famous ones. I hope you enjoyed the tour to Norway. I mean, I can talk about Norway for whole my life. Yes, I love this country, and yes,
This was
amazing
Let's
highly
give a
country.
enriching,
small
ma'am.
training. I think we should give some small training session about skiing to our students. So can we play that
We'll
video?
surely plan with you. There is a little video, um, and then our student
How to
can
go.
take over for the closing of the session. Yes, Nishita, please start with it. And Kanishka, I think, is supposed to take over after that.
I am Morten. I am Alexandra. I am Pernille. And this is our mean maths class. We have seen some weird stuff out there. Here is what you need for a day in the slopes. To get started, you need skis, ski boots, and poles. Everyone falls, even us, so please don't forget a helmet and goggles. If you don't have your own gear, you can just rent it. Ski boots can be difficult to put on. Remember to always open it properly. The boot should feel really tight. Make sure it's not too big for you. One thing we see all the time is the goggle gap. Close the gap between the goggles and the helmet. It's safer and it looks better. This is a buff. It's nice to have under a helmet instead of a scarf or a hat. You can even pull it up over your face if it's really cold outside. You can use either gloves or mittens, but mittens tend to be warmer. Our best tip is to never get hungry. Bring a snack to share. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So everyone who is interested to visit Norway is welcome to contact us all the time.
We'll do
Of
that.
course, after this crisis situation, I hope it will be over soon. And
Yes,
keep
praying for the
yourself
same.
safe. Yes, please keep safe.
You too.
Thanks.
Who's going to take over now? Shaila?
Yes, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, ma'am. It was great knowing such fascinating facts about Norway. I would now request Kanishka to present the vote of thanks.
Namaste everyone. I take immense pleasure for getting this opportunity to present the vote of thanks on behalf of my entire school. Firstly, I would like to thank our respected Principal Ma'am Dr. Jaya Parekh and Vice Principal Ma'am Dr. Smita Gandhi for organizing such an informative session. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Mahip Agrawal for helping us in making this session possible. I would like to thank Maninder Kaur ma'am for sharing her experience with us. It was great hearing from you, ma'am. Your presentations and talk virtually took us to the Scandinavian lands.
Thank you.
I would
Thank you
also
so
like
much.
I would also like to thank the entire IT team for all the technical support. At the end, a big thank you goes to all the participants for interacting. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks to both of you once again.
I
Thank you so
thanks
much,
to
ma'am.
you actually. That's a great experience to interact with children, and you have great students who are active. They are asking
Right.
questions, so you should be proud of
Yes,
them.
our
And
children are fantastic. We are very proud of our children. So thanks to all of them for being active participants. Thanks to all the
yes,
teachers who are here. And once
yes,
again, a
ma'am.
very big thank you to Mr. Mahib and to Ms. Maninder.
Thank you.
And we look forward to this collaboration taking us to different places, various places in the world. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
May
We
God bless you
enjoyed it.
both. Take care.
Thanks. Bye then. Bye
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye, children. Take care.
Bye, ma'am.